Hello and welcome to the first video of this new series where I'm going to be doing an overview of the city of Rockdale, which is a city that I'm currently building live on Twitch stream. The purpose of this video series is to basically track progress with the city building, show you the major changes and updates since the previous videos, track population growth and other important characteristics. Overview of the city in this video, which was recorded on the 28th of September 2017, is an overview of the city's current state. Since this is the very first video where the city of Rockdale is shown, I'm first going to go through the general overview of the information about my build style and rules I'm following while building the city. Then I will jump right to the overview of the city's main features like highway and road system, railroad network, and public transport, and I will give you some basic statistics about the city. When I started building this city live on the stream, I didn't really have any special plans for it, but over time it was clear that I want to build a realistic looking city, at least as realistic as possible, which is going to loosely resemble some European metropolis with some elements from real-life cities all around the world. I am using a lot of mods, some of which do change how the game behaves. Among the most important ones are Traffic Manager President Edition, 81 tiles, Ploppable Reco, and Plop the Globals. For more control in construction, there is, for example, the Road Anarchy and Move It mods. My complete mod collection is linked in the video description. Some of the mods that I use can definitely be overused to completely break the game, but I do try to use mods only to create realistic looking city. I am not using the unlimited money feature, so I do need to keep an eye on the city budget. Also, unlike many other cities shown here on YouTube, I don't focus on detailing small areas. Not only I don't have a PC powerful enough for that, but it just takes too much time, and I would rather focus on the city as a whole. Although from time to time I do some light detailing if I feel the area needs it. The first and most important rule that I want to follow for the sake of realism is to follow the maximum allowed slopes for roads and railroads and minimum curve radii. I try not to create unrealistic roller coasters with my railroads, but rather follow real-life rules, which is sometimes very challenging. When it comes to highways, I built my own highway interchanges. Some of them are completely my own, some of them are loosely recreated real-life interchanges. In the future, I would like to make some videos, tutorials maybe, on how to create these. Let's now focus on the actual overview of the city. It now has around 120,000 inhabitants, with about 10% unemployment rate, very high education rate at almost 70% highly educated citizens. Average traffic flow is 79 to 80%. City's income and expenses are mostly the same at around 250,000 a week, with very little money flowing into the city treasury, although I do now have around 9 million to spend, so I'm definitely not running out of money anytime soon. The city is divided into small districts, so I can more easily track down issues with, for example, employment. But to simplify this overview, we can divide the city into 5 basic areas. The first one is the city downtown, which was the first area that I built on this map. Actually, the very first area that I built was a small, low-density residential town just so I could advance in the milestones to unlock more buildings, but that small town is long gone now. The downtown is an area where I still used the vanilla game zoning to build, which means it's looking quite chaotic, and one of my plans for the future is to make it more orderly by manually placing buildings using the Ploppable Reco or Plop the Globals mods. The center of this downtown area is the main city square, with the main train station. This is also an area with tall skyscrapers forming the city skyline. After the downtown, let's have a look at the Midtown. which is the area on the other side of the river. This was the first area where I started experimenting with the manual placement of buildings, and it definitely looks much better. You can clearly see the difference between the lower part of Midtown and the upper part, which is still very unfinished, just like most places in Rockdale. The Midtown was first built around this important main public transport hub, where the monorail, trams, and buses meet around this roundabout intersection. Area around it is mostly taken by big office buildings, making this part of the city into some sort of an office, maybe financial center. Upper part of the Midtown is mainly used for high-density housing, with some office buildings built mainly around the most noisy streets and highways. The end of Midtown, near the upper part of the lake, is a place for these luxury apartment buildings with small marina. Let's move on to an area of the city that was created just recently, the Old Town. Just like pretty much every European city, even Rockdale has its historical area, where the majority of buildings are these old block buildings. Unlike real-life cities, Old Town is not the center of Rockdale, but that might be realistically explained, for example, by some need to create a modern downtown in an expanding city sometime in the past. Because of the shape of these buildings, there is a need for these 90-degree grid patterns in Old Town, although I am trying to make them a bit more interesting. The Old Town is going to be centered around this big main square, again dominated by a statue and a train station. On the other side of this square starts a slightly more modern district, with this building system, which, at least to me, looks like something from the 60s. This small district makes a nice transition to this modern office park at the end of Old Town. Next, soon to be city part, is the train depot area, which is still a provisional title. So far, there is only the train depot, which actually is the first set of buildings in Rockdale that doesn't really do anything, it is just for decoration. Although there are cargo and passenger train stations with some office buildings as part of the depot. Last area we definitely need to mention is the industrial park. There's really nothing special about the buildings there except maybe for the fusion reactor. Detailed explanation of how the roads and railroads work in the industrial park is probably going to be a topic of some next video. Now let's take a look at the highway system. The entire system is based around circular layers, or rings you could call them, with the city downtown in the center of them. These rings are connected by these highways that are also acting as outside connections. Then there are some highways that create necessary connection between those already shown. Dashed lines are unfinished connections. In each intersecting point, there is a custom-built interchange that exactly fits into that particular area. So far, the highway system performs flawlessly, without any traffic jams or problems whatsoever. The road system in Rockdale follows very simple rules. Highways are only connected to high-capacity main avenues that form the backbone of road systems in individual districts. These avenues then distribute and collect cars to and from smaller streets. Another road construction design rule is that the number of intersections is kept to a minimum, with emphasis on pedestrian connections, which encourages people to walk rather than travel by car. Notice the dead ends close to the main avenue in this shot of the old town. Intersections are usually just three-way types, with only really necessary connections done in four-way configuration, if the traffic situation allows it, obviously. If not, roundabouts are used. Many intersections in the city have the traffic lights replaced with custom timed traffic lights created using the Traffic Manager mod. Now let's take a look at the passenger train system. There is only one long train line in the city, which was originally used to transport workers between the industrial park and the downtown. Now it connects pretty much all the main city areas. Train outside connections are shown here. Train network is definitely the main part of the public transport system with the most transported passengers a week. While doing this video, I noticed some issues mainly with inner-city trains creating jams, especially at the map border. Solution to that problem is probably going to be a part of the next overview episode. Monorail is used to mainly connect the downtown and Midtown, which is the red line here on the screen. The yellow line is much smaller and much less significant, but in the future is going to be more important when I start expanding the city further to the west, where there's probably going to be an airport. Trams are used to transport people around the Midtown and Old Town and to connect these two parts together. Tram lines are also connecting monorail and train stations, basically bringing passengers to them from places further away. Bus lines are not shown here because there's too many of them and it would be a mess to draw them all to the aerial view. Buses are used to transport people to train, monorail or tram stations from more remote areas. Let's not forget about the cargo train network, which is a crucial part of the city's infrastructure. It all originates in the industrial zone, with rails going to multiple parts of the city. Outside connections are shown here. This network is designed to keep the cargo traffic away from highway access points where it would cause traffic issues. Since cargo trains in real life are much heavier than passenger ones, I am following more strict rules for maximum slope, which makes the cargo railroads even more of a challenge to build. I think that was about it with the first overview of the city of Rockdale. There are many plans for the future, like recreating the downtown to manual hand-picked buildings, finishing the empty areas around Midtown and Old Town, and pretty much around the entire city, creating an airport, and just expanding the city in general. I really do thank you for watching this video. If you want to see the city building live, then check out my Twitch channel, link in the video description. Otherwise, stay tuned for more videos like these. Until next time, take care and goodbye.